The Syrian conflict, which began in 2011 as part of the Arab Spring uprisings, has evolved dramatically over the past decade, leading to the natural question: are Syrian rebels still resisting? This complex and multifaceted issue requires an examination of the current landscape of the Syrian opposition, their areas of control, external support, and the challenges they face. Understanding the current state of the Syrian rebel groups involves delving into the intricate web of alliances, shifting loyalties, and the relentless pressure from the Syrian government and its allies. Initially, the Syrian rebellion was characterized by a multitude of groups, ranging from secular and moderate Islamists to extreme jihadist factions. The early years of the conflict saw a surge in these groups, each vying for control and influence. However, over time, the landscape has significantly changed due to various factors, including military defeats, mergers, and evolving international dynamics. Currently, the most prominent rebel stronghold is in the northwestern province of Idlib. This region is controlled largely by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, formerly affiliated with al-Qaeda. Despite HTS's dominance, several other rebel factions operate in this area, often in a volatile and uneasy alliance with HTS. The intervention of foreign powers has profoundly impacted the Syrian rebellion. Russian military intervention in 2015, in support of the Bashar al-Assad regime, marked a turning point in the conflict. The Russian air campaign and support significantly weakened the rebel forces, leading to the loss of key territories. Turkish support has been crucial for the survival of certain rebel factions, particularly in northern Syria. Turkey's primary interest lies in countering Kurdish forces near its border and preventing a wave of refugees. As a result, Turkey has established a zone of influence in northern Syria, providing a lifeline to some rebel groups. The fragmentation of the Syrian opposition is a key challenge in understanding their current state. Over the years, infighting and divisions, particularly between secular and Islamist factions, have weakened the collective ability to resist the Assad regime effectively. Ideological shifts within rebel groups have also played a role in their evolving resistance. Some factions have moderated their stances, seeking political legitimacy and international support, while others have become more radicalized, aligning with global jihadist movements. The decline in international support for Syrian rebels has had a significant impact. Initially, Western and Gulf countries provided substantial aid and weapons. However, as the conflict progressed, concerns over the rise of extremist groups and the complexity of the conflict led to a reduction in this support. The Syrian government strategy, supported by Russia and Iran, has focused on systematic military campaigns to recapture rebel-held territories. These campaigns have often involved sieges, heavy bombardment, and negotiations for surrender, significantly reducing the areas under rebel control. The situation in Kurdish-controlled areas in northeastern Syria adds another dimension to the conflict. While not traditionally aligned with the Syrian rebels, Kurdish forces have controlled significant territory and have a complex relationship with both the Syrian government and the rebel factions. The economic situation in rebel-held areas is dire, further complicating their ability to resist. International sanctions, destruction from the conflict, and lack of access to resources have resulted in severe economic hardship for civilians in these areas. The humanitarian crisis in Syria remains one of the most severe in the world, with millions displaced internally and as refugees. Rebel-held areas, particularly in Idlib, face constant humanitarian challenges, including limited access to food, medical care, and basic services. Propaganda and information warfare have become integral parts of the conflict. Both the Syrian government and rebel groups engage in media campaigns to sway public opinion and international perspectives. Despite the challenges, there are still instances of active resistance and clashes in rebel-held areas. These include sporadic attacks against government forces, inter-rebel conflicts, and resistance against jihadist groups within their territories. The role of local councils and civil society in rebel-held areas is an important aspect of the ongoing resistance. These bodies attempt to provide governance and services in the midst of the conflict, often with limited resources and under constant threat. The future of the Syrian rebellion is uncertain, with many variables at play. The ongoing international negotiations, shifting alliances, and the Syrian government strategy will significantly influence the rebels' ability to continue resisting. Reconciliation and surrender agreements have been a tactic employed by the Syrian government, leading to the integration or exile of rebel fighters. These agreements have often been controversial, with concerns over forced displacement and the fate of former rebels. The psychological impact of the prolonged conflict on both fighters and civilians in rebel-held areas is profound. The trauma of war, loss, and displacement has long-term implications for Syrian society. In conclusion, while significantly weakened, there are still elements of resistance among Syrian rebels. The situation remains dynamic, with the conflict entering a new phase that is more political and less military. Thank you for watching this in-depth analysis. Please remember to like and subscribe to Middle East Info for more comprehensive insights into the ongoing developments in the Middle East.